Okay, let's talk about prayer. For a lot of us, this whole topic can feel, well, kind of complicated, right? We know we're supposed to do it, but what is it really? Today, we're going to try to reframe the whole thing, moving prayer from just a religious chore to an absolute lifeline. Let's be real for a second. Have you ever felt like your prayer time is basically you just handing God a to-do list? You list off your problems, your wants, your needs, and you just hope he gets around to checking them off. It can feel like a business transaction, can it? And you're not crazy for feeling that way. It's how a lot of us were taught to think about it. But that transactional view can make for a really dry, unfulfilling spiritual life. It leaves you wondering, am I even doing this right? But what if that's not the point of prayer at all? So, let's jump into our first big idea, thinking about prayer as your spiritual oxygen mask. This completely flips the script. It moves prayer from the category of nice to do to absolutely non-negotiable for survival. To really get this, I want you to picture something. You're on a plane, cruising high above the clouds at 30,000 feet. Everything's fine. You're relaxed, maybe watching a movie or dozing off. And then bam, that sudden jolt. The cabin pressure just plummets. Alarms start going off, and from the ceiling, those little yellow oxygen masks drop down right in front of your face. Suddenly, the air you were just breathing is gone. And then the pilot's voice comes over the intercom, calm but urgent. Please put on the yellow oxygen mask to survive. Now, in that moment of panic, are you going to sit there and argue? Are you going to say, well, that's just so narrow-minded. Why only the yellow mask? What about other options? Of course not. And that's the whole point right there. In a life or death crisis, a specific instruction isn't intolerant. It's salvation. It's your only way out. Prayer isn't just one of many spiritual self-help options. It's the only source of spiritual oxygen in a world where, on our own, we just can't breathe. Okay, so if prayer is our spiritual oxygen, our absolute lifeline, that brings up a pretty huge question, doesn't it? How do we even access it? How is it possible for us to have this constant, direct connection to the source of life itself? Well, that takes us to one of the most incredible, dramatic moments in all of human history. See, in the ancient Jewish temple, there was this massive, thick curtain. It was called the veil. And it wasn't just decoration. It physically separated the holiest part of the temple, the very place God's presence dwelled, from everybody else. It was a constant, powerful reminder of separation. Before Jesus, the message of that veil was unmistakable. Keep out. Access was extremely restricted. Only the high priest could go behind it, and only on one single day of the year. And even then, he had to go through all these crazy purification rituals. But then, at the very instant that Jesus died on the cross, the Bible tells us that this massive curtain was torn in two. And the detail here is just wow. It wasn't ripped from the side by a person or torn from the bottom up. The Bible is specific. It was torn from top to bottom. This was a divine act. It was as if God himself reached down from heaven and ripped apart the very barrier he had once put in place. The keep out sign was officially and forever taken down by the owner of the house. So what does this actually mean for you and me? It means your access to God's presence is now unlimited. It's not based on how good you've been this week or whether you feel spiritual enough today. You know those days, right? We all have them. You think, ugh, I can't pray now, I'm too angry. Or I just messed up too badly. This truth completely demolishes that way of thinking. Your access is based on what Jesus did, on his blood, not your mood. The door is always open. Okay, so we've established we have a lifeline, our spiritual oxygen, and we have a wide open invitation into God's presence because of that torn veil. So, what does using that connection actually look and feel like on a regular Tuesday? This brings us to our next reframe, shifting prayer from a transaction to a communion. This right here is the new definition we need to lock into our brains. Real prayer isn't about giving God a shopping list. It's communion. It's the deliberate act of tuning your heart, your mind, your whole soul to connect with God's frequency. Here's an analogy. Think about a radio. God is always broadcasting. His station is live 24/7, transmitting peace, wisdom, guidance, and love. He hasn't gone off the air. He hasn't gone silent. That signal is constant and steady, just waiting for us to tune in. So how do we tune in? Well, it's kind of a three-step process. First, you have to recognize the world's noise. I mean, worry, anxiety, social media notifications, the 24-hour news cycle, these are all competing radio stations, and man, are they turned up loud. Second, we have to get it through our heads that God hasn't stopped talking. It's usually just that we've tuned our own radio to a different station. And third, prayer is the action we take. It's deliberately shutting the door on all that other noise, grabbing the dial, and tuning our soul back to His frequency. Now, when this really clicks, when you truly grasp that you have an open line to God and it's all about communion, it fundamentally changes your identity. It moves you from feeling like a beggar on the street, hoping for a handout, to being a partner in the family business with full access to all its resources. And this all boils down to a really practical, personal question. With everything we now know, the torn veil, the constant broadcast, how do you actually approach God when you pray? What's your posture? Is it coming from a place of fear or a place of faith? Let's put two approaches side by side. The beggar's mindset sounds something like this. Oh God, I'm just a nobody. Please, if you could just find it in your heart to help me. But approaching God like that actually insults the new agreement, the covenant He made through Jesus. It ignores the torn veil. The partner, on the other hand, comes confidently. They say, Father, I'm coming to you in the name of Jesus. Your word says this, so I'm calling on my covenant right. See the difference? This approach honors what Jesus did for us. This bank analogy just nails it. Imagine you have $1 million in your bank account. It's legally yours. Would you walk into the bank, get down on your knees, and beg the teller, please, sir, just $10 if you can spare it? No way. It would be absurd. You wouldn't beg because you know the money is yours. You'd walk up to the counter and confidently write a check. You make a withdrawal based on the assets you already possess. So instead of begging, God, please, please give me peace, a partner prays, Father, your word promises me a peace that passes understanding. So by faith, I am writing a check on that promise, and I receive that peace right now. And this isn't just a clever idea. It's straight from the Bible. It doesn't say, let us come timidly or let us crawl hoping for the best. It says, let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace. That boldness isn't arrogance. It's confidence in the one who made the deposit and gave you the checkbook. So I'll just leave you with this to chew on. Based on the incredible access you have, the open invitation you've received, and the legal rights you carry as a child of God, are you still praying like a beggar or just hoping for a handout? Or are you boldly writing a check on the limitless account of heaven?